I think everyone's kind of waiting to see what the vibe is in New York. It's like there's like a weird sort of thing has happened as people are kind of reemerging. It's like everything's more fancy and rich or something. Yeah. So it's like a lot of the businesses that have survived are these ones that are kind of for posh people or something. So it's a little bit strange, but I think that there's definitely like a pushback happening, where there's those people who are like, no, hell no, you can't take our New York vibe or something. So that stuff is happening and opening up. And so I hope it kind of like continues and just kind of takes a push to make it happen. But as, news cycles and stuff get bigger, it's like people get kind of like fight harder against some of this stuff. So we'll see,
So do you see a good future for alternative music or independent music? Because you were talking about people opening only places for posh people. But what is going to happen to the music in the next, 10 years? What do you think is going to happen to DIY venues and DIY spots and rehearsal rooms in the States?
I think a lot of that stuff is just going to get moved out of the cities, or some of the bigger cities. I think that there's still a lot of cool stuff going on. I think just New York is one of those places where things get kind of priced out. And I guess we'll see, maybe if the housing market goes down, then there'll be people moving into like skyscrapers and throwing shows. When I moved to New York, that was happening. Like people would be throwing shows, in like some abandoned, 67th floor of some skyscraper or something. And it was like awesome. But I don't know. I mean, I do have a couple leads on like an abandoned building in the, in Wall Street and stuff like that. That was this old like monk temple. And, we're going to talk about trying to, throw a show or something like that there. But we'll see what happens. It's kind of, everyone's just sort of tiptoeing around to figure it out at the moment. I think it'll be, maybe next summer if things really get nuts.
Totally.
And you're launching also a new record label called Dedstrange, which I didn't know about until we reached out to the Death by Audio team. And I can see that you definitely believe in the future of rock and punk, because there are some pretty cool bands there. But I see there are bands from Berlin and New Zealand. So what can you tell us about it?
Yeah, those were just, bands that we were kind of like, when first starting to search for some of these bands, or that we knew, we're just excited about these bands. And then these were, friends of friends. It just kind of was sort of happened in that way. It's like a lot of people, either have labels and are, going through those kind of transitionary times. So there's maybe artists that we reach out to who don't want to like end their record contracts or whatever they're working with, with these people yet, but it'll be happening perhaps in the future. But, we just wanted to kind of start this to sort of help out and use whatever connections and what we could to kind of help these bands out in any way we could. And, having been on a bunch of record labels, you start to kind of realize what things kind of aren't very cool about them. And then you just make sure you don't do that stuff, Totally. So, but I think that's like a lot of small businesses. That's even what we do with like the pedal company, try to make pedals that fit in a market that's unlike anything else, and build stuff, where it's like, we'll repair it for free and whatever, anything you would want a company to do, and, work with artists individually and all that kind of stuff. So, it's been cool to kind of do it. And, I've had a couple record labels in the past, but this one, it just seems like, have a more like, focused crew and stuff. And since we're going to be releasing a bunch of A Place to Bury Strangers stuff on this label, it's definitely going to be like, have more of an opening for some of these bands, I think, to kind of, people can know about A Place to Bury Strangers, and then they'll find out about Data Animal or something. So.
Exactly.
So we also have an independent record label here, and we love independent record labels because fuck major labels.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
But what is it? Do you see? What's the future you imagine for independent record labels? Because now big record labels aren't as important as they used to be because of the internet. We can release everything. So do you think a lot of independent record labels are gonna appear sometime soon, or do you think people are just going without the record labels, or how do you see the future for independent record labels?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what the people want to do, and what they can do as an artist. Like being a label, and having done all of this stuff ourselves and even self-released records, it's like you realize that people might need help with any sort of avenue, whether it be distribution or help trying to, book some sort of show or organizing to talk to some bits of press or even just doing the artwork for their album. Like, or even mastering or mixing or any of these things. Like being in a label, you can help kind of coordinate those things. It's just kind of a sort of a way to kind of make a family of people and artists that you like to work with and, making those things happen. It's like a major label is maybe more focused on, what it can do to, focusing on numbers and make the biggest percentage of sales. And if those people aren't interested in you or you become like the 12th bestseller, they drop you or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, it's like, I think it just depends on what people want to do, as an artist. And it's like, you can do a lot of this stuff all on your own now. And I think there's something really pure and awesome about that as well, too. When there's some of these bands which are kind of coming about and are like maybe really popular on Instagram and they're incredible. And then you see that they're playing these really terrible shows places. We're going on this bad tour. Like I've played all those rooms, they suck, or something. It's like, so, definitely people still need kind of help in these things. And I think it's just opening up the community to make this stuff happen. And I think that's where like old record labels really had a monopoly on this stuff in the past, where, they were the only ones who had these contacts, or they were the only ones who could get attention for an artist because you needed to like know who to talk to at the magazine or something and how to approach them and stuff. Where now I think people are just starting to get more and more excited about actually really incredible music. It's like, which is cool. I think it has the opportunity for anyone to get popular, although it starts to be where even these major labels and everyone starts like sucking like leeches onto these things that are like good and noble and like Facebook or whatever it is. It's like at first it starts out like a community and you can find annual band. Now it's like you're getting flooded with all these advertisements of all this crap, and there's all these like fake accounts or whatever trying to like push this junk, and it kind of makes it not so exciting as well too. So we'll see.
Yeah, and well, we mostly do it for the love of art because having a record label, it's not our main business. It's mostly something that we do because we love music. But do you see people living out of only having independent record labels, like not having any other business? Do you see it possible to make a living out of a record label, of an indie record label?
Yeah, I mean, I know people who do that, a bunch of people who do that, and it does work, but it's like, you have to do a lot of those things which aren't fun as well too, where it's like you become like a shipping center and stuff, and you're kind of constantly like some of these people that I know are like constantly answering emails and stuff, and hunting down every single little teeny lead of things, which sometimes you need to just balance how much of those things that you do and, whatever. It's tough in New York, at least. I think if you were in other cities, then it would maybe be more affordable. But the people I know who do it in New York, like really hustle to make that work because, rent's freaking expensive. It's expensive to live. You have to have, if you're working with small artists, you have to be working with a lot of them and constantly kind of like pushing and selling the records and stuff. So, I mean, that's even a little bit of what we're doing with this record label, is trying to work with kind of, a lot of artists and get a lot of people who I know who, helping us out, who like really love, diving in, or meticulous and love doing this work and love kind of, searching out for things and, finding other avenues and explore things. And I think that, sometimes people just need like that initial like connection to get their foot in the door to make that stuff happen,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's amazing that that there are people doing this for the sake of art, just like us.
Yeah.
So answering emails for free,
exactly.
Not getting paid to answer emails. So
yeah.
How do you sign a band? I mean, what sounds it have to sign to
what
look
sounds
for?
are you looking for?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's like something which kind of grabs you in some sort of way. And so, even some of that stuff that, we've released, it's like sometimes you would think that, you wouldn't like something. There's like that band Plattenbow, and it's like the guy is like singing out of key.
Yeah.
And I was like, the first time my friend sent me that, like whenever it was, a year ago or something, I was like, oh, weird, like this is kind of strange. It's a shame the guy can't sing in key, and then it really, like, I really just, I don't know, it spoke to me. It was like, there was something really cool and charming about that.
Yeah.
And I just thought he went to such cool places kind of with his voice and was doing all of these neat things where there's something even more real about that, and I think that's with any of those things, and I think, you kind of, sometimes you need just a little bit of time to sit with music for it to really like speak to you, or sometimes it instantly catches your attention. But I think if you kind of, can listen to something a few times and, still be interested in it, then, or you'll be like at the supermarket thinking about it or something, and you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool, And so, given the opportunity, when you see that kind of stuff, it's like, that seems like it's something worth doing. Same thing with like writing music. You hear some melody and maybe not at first you're like excited about it, but you hear it again and again and you're like, oh, this is like really something cool. You can kind of, you feel comfortable standing behind it, I guess, or something. It's
totally. And Oliver, you have like 20 years making pedals, right?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, successfully making pedals, I guess.
Yeah.
A few more unsuccessfully. Yeah.
I imagine that about a month ago, I was like looking for, I'm a gear hunter. I'm always looking for pedals and weird stuff too, because I produce music too, and looking for something different to approach to any band.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was looking, and I found a Fuswar. First generation, and it was really expensive, and I want to talk about that. You think it's a different from the first version of any of your pedal to the last one, or is even better now? What do you think about it? Because it's a hot topic in many gear fans.
It's hard to tell, really. It's like, so some of these things become like the parts become obsolete. And then also the nature of Death by Audio pedals is we'll like push the circuit to the point of where it's like it's almost going to blow up or something. Some of the transistors are like getting hot inside the pedal as you're using them. So, it's really even like very particular batches of these things sound a certain way. And like we figured that out pretty early. Maybe it was, I think when we came up with, it was a Soundwave breakdown or something. It was like the transistor changed, the sound changed from the same part number. It didn't sound the same, so we had to order we start ordering things like 10,000 of a transistor once we find the right one. So it's all from the same batch, the same thing. And so some of these pedals have changed over the years. And when sometimes they change and the production, is like flying by and you're desperately trying to find something that works and sounds as good or better than the thing, you think it sounds better, but who's to say? Like, what were your ears like, 5 or 10 years ago? And what kind of music were you into at that time? Like, I could say they always sound better and better and better. And, that's subjective.
Totally. That's a good answer, because everybody's trying to find the first one. It's like even the oldest, the better. So it's kind of like you said. It's kind of depends on the ears of everybody.
But a lot of those things, like the legend of something, is important. So maybe it is better to have the first edition.
Yeah.
Like in some ways, it doesn't matter. You could record a record with any distortion pedal, for example. It doesn't really matter. But if you're excited to record that record, then that's a whole nother level. You should take like some crappy pedal that you buy for $30.
Yeah.
Spray paint it a little bit, wrap it up and put it in a case, and then next time someone's recording, be like, well, you could try this one. Like have some mysterious thing about it, where I don't know, it was like fell off a truck or something and hit some guitarist on the head, and he died, but you can play this legendary pedal or something.
I'm gonna go get my metal zone.
And many people record with that, you know. It's like a secret weapon for many
it's
guitarists.
not so bad. I've recorded with the metal zone, you know, many times. It's like it can sound even really good on drums, I think, as well too. You know, and it has a particular sound, which sometimes that's what you want.
Totally.
That's really cool. It's the first time I hear someone say something good about the metal zone. So the interview is getting excited, and I was wondering about the creative side of like making your own pedals, because we were just watching a video, and even the print, you make your own screens. So
are you still doing that?
We don't silkscreen everything, but we silkscreen a lot of the stuff. So it's like, it just depends. Some of the stuff we outsource, some of it we don't. It's like, you know, we build so many pedals now. So it's like, we have a good friend who used to live at the old Death by Audio, who does a lot of silkscreening as well too. And sometimes we'll just drive a ton of pedals over to him and he'll silkscreen them, and it's easier to do because it gets to be freaking crazy over here. So yeah.
Amazing. And how important is the aesthetic of the pedal? Like, do you care about it a lot, or would you just sell them without, if people would buy them?
I don't know. I mean, I would sell them without if people would buy them, but people are like particular and finicky or something. So I think it's kind of, you know, it's important, you know, and as we talked before about kind of like the legend of something, or even kind of getting people excited, or even just when you pick up a pedal and you know what it does because you look at the controls, you know, or they kind of push you in directions, like those are designed, you know, totally intentionally. You know, it's not like, you know, it's to, you know, if it's there and it's confusing, it's on purpose to confuse you. You know, so it's like, you know, other people don't really necessarily do that or think about it. You know, they just kind of like label the controls and that's it. And sometimes it looks lame, sometimes it doesn't.